So the leftmost center idler pulley blew up on my Ford 1997 International 7.3 diesel Power Stroke. And what happened was, when this bearing exploded, it started squeaking really loud on the highway, and I decided to just drive it home. And then the way I diagnosed this, which is this is the top pulley. This pulley was a grooved one. I'll show you that in a second. But I grabbed some WD-40 and I sprayed it on all the bearings. Even though they're sealed, I like soaked them while it was running and squeaking. And whenever it stopped squeaking, that was when I figured out which one was bad. But the problem was, I caught it too late, and because I drove it home, this bearing cocked sideways like this and ate out the mount, which is an aluminum alternator mount. And I'll show you that, and I'll show you my plan and replacement. Okay, so this is a single alternator setup, 7.3, and if you look down here, there's the regular tensioner pulley. That one's been replaced, so that's fine. But I have placed a new pulley on that mount, and if you can tell, it's actually not perpendicular to the mount, so it's skewed because the bearing ate out some of the housing of this right here. And if you need the part number, you can zoom in there. I'll show it to you on my replacement piece. But I have to replace this entire alternator assembly, and I also grabbed a new pulley for the top here. But again, I'm going to be pulling all that off to change the mounting housing. So we got to pull this alternator off, and the tensioner should come with it, and pull it off. Looks like I got to pull the tensioner off first. My biggest problem is I can't get this stupid fan thing out of the way without removing the alternator or the fan. So I'm going to try to work around it at this point, but maybe I'll pull it off. Also, my belt got chewed out, so I had to get a new one. And I'll put Amazon links to anything that's available. The belts are expensive, they're like 40 bucks. I ended up grabbing an extra one just to have on hand in case this were to happen again, because the water pump for the truck does run off that serpentine belt. And just to show you a reference of what I'm talking about, this one here is the one that failed. I actually thought it was that top one, so I ended up buying both of these. And my tensioner right here pulley is in good shape. It's working, but you can see from the crank, it does power the water pump, vacuum pump, power steering, and AC. Which this truck has the AC mount, but I think it was deleted. Yeah, so this is our power steering. Down there, the groove pulley, this is the vacuum pump, and this is where the AC would go. But the inside all has AC laid out, but someone deleted it, which is fine. I'm probably not going to put it back on. So now I'm looking at it. Here's the AC lines. So I do have the lines, so maybe I will go to the junkyard and get a new compressor for the AC there, because it is all plumbed in already. Alright, but let's get started by pulling that alternator off and get that bracket out of there. All this repairs cost me $50 for the housing, $30 for each of the pulleys. That's $110. And I bought 2 belts. They were $40 each. That's $80. This is a $200 fix. I guess I could return a belt, but still, it's not. These engines aren't cheap. But the parts are readily available. My Napa had the pulley right in stock, so that was great. Looks like I can't get the tensioner out until I get that other one out. Let's see if I can show you guys a little better with the GoPro. What's going on down here? This top one as well, and the part number is here. They do sell these on eBay. They're about 80 bucks, but the ones I looked at were questionable on this bearing surface here, so I actually found a local guy who had one of these for 50 bucks, so I just picked it up today, and let's get this thing running again. Alright, so here they are side by side, and as you can see, this was my squealing issue. It was probably the bearing without balls or anything, but also it was just grinding on that bolt. So yeah, so what happened was when I replaced it, like I put a new one on and it just cocked sideways again, and it would have thrown the belt. And those belts are 40 bucks, so it's not worth it. Just go get a new one. These 7.3s are pretty common. Again, this is a single alternator setup, so I think they're different on like the ambulances. So now we're going to swap all the pulleys over, but I think I'm going to do them in the vehicle, and I'm going to just swap the top one right now and put this in, you know, just as we left off over there. So yeah, but look at that. Alright, someone could still fix this too. You could build it up with weld and like grind it out and make it flat again. I'll throw it on eBay for 25 bucks if anyone is interested in this. I'll give you a link. Alright, so just to show you, the bearing blowout was on this pulley. And now you could find a replacement bearing for this. I think they're like $12, but I figured I'd just replace the whole assembly. And what happened was the bearing blew out and the pulley cocked sideways because of the load and the tension from the tensioner on the serpentine belt, and it just squeaked and rubbed that whole surface out until it eventually exploded and through the belt. Belt lost, side groove, you can see some of the rippage. This belt would probably still run, so I'm keeping it in the truck as a spare, but we're gonna go ahead and swap those over now. Well, this is always why you check the belt size before putting it on up against your old one, especially if it's not ripped. Rookie mistake. For some reason, this one's longer, even though online it said it was for a 7.3, so I don't have one online. I have a Napa one. Let me see if I can, let's see if that one fits. I'm gonna lay them all on the ground and look at them. Alright, so the two belts I bought are wrong, and that's my fault for not verifying that with this old one. I did just pull the Napa part number off of this. For this setup, without the alternator, or without the AC compressor or that adapter kit, which might be because it's not tensioned, it looks like we have a 081189 and then a 8PK3020. That's the belt that came off it. It's missing a rib. It's an 8 rib, and I only have 7. There's where it ripped. But I'm gonna put it on right now. It should run just fine to move it around the house, and then I'm gonna go to Napa tomorrow because they're closed and get a new belt. So let's put the old one back on. And fire this thing up. Don't forget to put your fan back on too. Okay, start it up. I'm gonna get all the tools off here. That's it for now. I'm going to get a new belt, but yeah, job well done. Thanks for watching. I hope this helped you out. Give me a thumbs up on this video, please, and shoot me a subscribe.